And today we are going to be working on my game today. Yeah, it's just a carrot clicker game. Kind of like cookie clicker, but
stars
different.
in the film Jurassic World. Didn't know that, but I mean those
I'm gonna add a
Deinonychuses
different
in
one,
Jurassic World are
like
close to the
another
size of
thing.
Utahraptor, so let's go with it.
But
This movie star dinosaur was about
can't
23
reveal
feet
it 'cause
long, but only 8 feet.
classified
It's about as
information.
tall as 2 first graders. Utahraptor,
Dynamite
Utah predator.
must be erased.
Okay, so fused lizard, yes.
I'm
that
weird.
means Utah predator.
But I'm okay with it.
This would be like Utah plunderer or Utah thief. So somebody clearly didn't watch our video on the Maniraptora. As far as who would win, Ankylosaurus is like 6 to 8 meters long. That's like 20 to 26 feet, maybe even longer than that. Possibly weighed as much as like 8,000 kilos, which is over 17,000 pounds. It was heavily armored, and it had that massive bone-crushing club at the end of its tail. Utahraptor, on the other hand, I do like that it has feathers here. It was the largest of the dromaeosaurids, but that doesn't mean a whole lot. The dromaeosaurids weren't super huge. Utahraptor was like 5 to 5.5 meters, like 16 to 18 feet long, weighed like 280 to 300 kilos, so like 620 to 660 pounds. It was fast, and it had a large hooked claw for pinning prey to the ground, not really for slashing like they said in Jurassic Park, but the Deinonychus, but probably more for just pinning prey down. You know, if the Utahraptor doesn't want to fight an Ankylosaurus, like no fight's going to occur here. And Utahraptor, it really just doesn't even have the tools to take down an armored Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus is like 26 times the size of a Utahraptor. This is like a mink attacking a fully armored knight who has a mace. This is Ankylosaurus all day. But I have a bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Utahraptor tries to sneak up on Ankylosaurus and slice its unprotected belly. Now again, that claw is probably not a slashing claw, and it certainly it wouldn't be able to like slash up at the low belly of a, like the Utahraptor would have to crawl underneath the Ankylosaurus in order to slash up at its belly from
Today
below,
I'm
even if
using
it
my
had a slashing claw,
pen
which it probably
instead.
didn't. Okay, but anyway, whoosh! One swipe from the Ankylosaurus's tail, and the Utahraptor is knocked silly. Ankylosaurus moves on to the next round. Ankylosaurus wins. Probably knocked considerably more than silly, but that said, I'm being very pleasantly surprised so far. There were some problems here, but by and large, this is so much better than the others. Okay, Yangchuanosaurus versus Torosaurus. I want to just call it Yangchusaurus because one of my good friends from elementary school through high school, her name is Yang Chu, and she's from China, and so is Yangchuanosaurus, which is pretty bodacious. If you're unfamiliar with Yangchuanosaurus, this is basically the Allosaurus of China in the Jurassic, which is also the same time as Allosaurus, just in North America. Yangchuanosaurus was discovered in China. When its remains were first discovered, people thought that they were real dragon bones. Some people in other places also once believed this. Yangchuanosaurus was bipedal. Okay, bipedal means an animal that walks on 2 legs. Torosaurus. Okay, so Yangchuanosaurus versus Torosaurus. Torosaurus had the largest skull of any animal that ever lived on land. That's possibly true. Its skull is as big as an elephant. Maybe an elephant. Maybe they mean an elephant skull, but it's bigger than an elephant skull, but it's not as big as an elephant. Okay, Torosaurus means perforated lizard, which is true because the holes. Perforated means having holes. Torosaurus had holes in its shield-like skull. Okay, great. Back of Torosaurus' skull is called its frill. Okay, great. Yangchuanosaurus is a big theropod. It's almost 11 meters long. It's 36 feet, weighs 3,000 kilos, like 6,600 pounds. It's way bigger than Utahraptor, for example, but it is way smaller than Torosaurus. Torosaurus is like essentially the same size as a Triceratops, but with a longer frill. There was even a long period where there was some debate as to whether or not Torosaurus was just an adult Triceratops and that the frill grew longer when they reached adulthood. Now it doesn't look like that's the case. It is a separate dinosaur, but it's big. It's big like Triceratops. It's conservatively like 7.5 meters long, about 25 feet, and weighed more than 9,000 kilos, which is like 20,000 pounds. This was a late Cretaceous tank that even T-Rex would probably leave alone as an adult. I do not think Yangchuanosaurus would engage with one, but if it does, my money's definitely on Torosaurus. So, let's see what happens.
With Amiga Home Insurance, it's not just what's inside your home that matters. It's who you share it with. We're
that. I wonder what that pen icon means.
Torosaurus is sharp horns.
I wonder what it
Yangchuanosaurus bites its
means.
legs.
It
Slow
means.
down Torosaurus. The limping Torosaurus is done for. In this fight,
Maybe.
the meat eater defeats the plant eater. The biped beats the quadruped. Yangchuanosaurus wins. Well, that's dumb. That was a dumb result. Torosaurus forgot to turn around, apparently. I think that, and also looks like Yangchuanosaurus was highly venomous because one bite to its rump and Torosaurus is done for, apparently. Just didn't spin around and just gore the heck out of Yangchuanosaurus. It was just done for, just dead. It just, I didn't turn, ow! Dead. To be perfectly honest, this is the kind of result I come here for. I mean, it's no Man-O-War versus Leatherback Sea Turtle, but things are finally starting to come together in this book. This is what I expect. Oh, jeez. Okay, so, jeez. Supersaurus versus Micropachycephalosaurus. A 35-meter, 115-foot, 40,000 kilo, 88,000 pound sauropod versus a 1-meter ceratopsian with no horns. This is like an elephant versus a mouse, which actually has me a little bit concerned.
very bad feeling about this.
Supersaurus might not even know a fight is occurring. Ow! Did I step on a Lego? Oh crap! It's another Micropachycephalosaurus. All right, okay. Not fair. Who matched these two together? Supersaurus is fighting Micropachycephalosaurus. Supersaurus was a giant plant-eating sauropod. Micropachycephalosaurus is one of the longest names of any dinosaur. I think it might be the longest. It's a long name, but it was a tiny dinosaur. It was only as big as a goose. Its name means small, thick-headed lizard. Okay, so let's see. Supersaurus steps on Micropachycephalosaurus. Uh-oh, squished. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Supersaurus wins. Yeah, correct.
It's like
Giganotosaurus versus Stegosaurus. The biggest carnivore in the world has ever seen on land.
Oh, my
Except
hands
for
look
T-Rex
weird.
and probably Spinosaurus.
Let me
Okay.
just go closer.
Giganotosaurus had a huge jaw
Oh,
full of sharp.
is that
Its jaw
oh,
was 6
man,
feet
I
long. Giganotosaurus
squished
was considered the
another
largest meat-eating dinosaur.
Super Mario's Neosaurus?
You would not want to fight it. It walked and hunted on 2
Wait a
legs.
minute, I don't. Wait, how do I know
Giganotosaurus means
English?
Giant lizard of the south. 2-legged dinosaurs are called.
And why am I in a POV?
Theropod means beast foot. Theropods walk like birds. Okay, so
Don't wake me up.
theropods are generally 2-legged,
Kill me.
but not all 2-legged dinosaurs are theropods. For example, all the duck-billed dinosaurs,
Like the ones that-
Iguanodon, a
no,
lot of
wait,
the
yeah.
early ceratopsians. In fact, ancestral dinosaurs were bipedal. So long before there were theropods, all of the dinosaurs were bipedal. So it's not accurate at all to say that all bipedal dinosaurs are theropods, but most theropods are bipedal. So anyway, okay. Stegosaurus, this dinosaur is easy to recognize. It had plates on its back and a spiked tail. Stegosaurus means roof lizard. Okay, so Giganotosaurus, like 12 to 13 meters, 39 to 43 feet. It's like 8,200 kilos, like 18,000 pounds. Stegosaurus is like 7 meters, 23 feet, like 3,800 kilos, like 8,400 pounds. While I would say it's not impossible for Stegosaurus to win, Giganotosaurus is much more formidable than anything Stegosaurus would have encountered in the Jurassic. It's no T-Rex, but Giganotosaurus should win this one. So let's see. Okay. It's no fun fighting Stegosaurus's plates and spiked tail, but Giganotosaurus's powerful jaws overpowers the slow Stegosaurus. After a vicious fight, Giganotosaurus wins. Okay, I'm happy with this result. Giganotosaurus had relatively strong jaws, but the jaws of T-Rex were way stronger, just for the record. So, like, when you're talking about a big theropod with strong jaws, it's going to be the Tyrannosaurids. not the Carcharodontosaurids like Giganotosaurus.
So
Okay, Tyrannotitan
David.
versus Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Thank
So,
you.
well, we're talking about the difference in strength here. They have similar names, these two, Tyrannotitan and Tyrannosaurus Rex, but they're not similar theropods. Tyrannotitan was a Carcharodontosaurid like Giganotosaurus, which is why it wasn't part of our phylogeny on the Tyrannosaurids. It was a bit over 12 to 13 meters, which is like 40 to 43 feet long,
That's
and weighed
weird.
roughly 5 to 7,000 kilos, which is like 11 to 15,000 pounds. Like all Carcharodontosaurids, it had much weaker jaws than did the Tyrannosaurids. But it did have very
Yeah.
sharp, shearing teeth.
Oh, man.
This guy would win a lot of fights.
Yes, my dad, guys. He's told me
But
about
not
dinner.
this one. I wouldn't pick
Let me
any
show you how
theropod to win
this
a
game
head-to-head
works.
fight with a T-Rex.
Pretty cool that I've done this,
12
right?
meters, 41 feet long, and weighing at least 10,000 kilos, 22,000 pounds. Tyrannosaurus Rex was twice the size of Tyrannotitan.
And
and
my
had
views.
Some things are just better together. Introducing U.S. Bank Business Essentials, a
I know it's
powerful
bad,
combination
but
of checking and
please
card
can I
payment
have some more
processor
views?
with no monthly maintenance fee and quick access to the money you've earned. Together, we
Basically,
can
you
make
just
managing
get
your
some
business easier. That's the
Of
power
this,
of
and
us.
then yeah, you can add some seasoning to your coat. It makes it tastier. You also get more carrots. I don't know why. I don't know why it's that. I don't know why.
It had much greater
I
bite
wonder why
force,
that-
even than that of Giganotosaurus,
Yes,
a more comparably sized Carcharodontosaurid than is Tyrannotitan.
You could get
The
any
jaw
of them
strength of Tyrannosaurus Rex would
unless you
shatter
have the
the teeth
right
of a
price.
Carcharodontosaurid. This isn't as lopsided as the Supersaurus battle, but it's not going to be close. Okay, so Tyrannotitan
I know,
lived about
okay?
100 million years ago. In real life,
I
it
know
would
I'm
never
gonna
have met
come,
the Tyrannosaurus
okay?
Rex or T-Rex, which lived at a later time. Because Tyrannotitan lived
Oh,
at an
that's good.
earlier age, its brain was probably not as developed as T-Rex's. Tyrannotitan means giant tyrant. Tyrannotitan versus Tyrannosaurus Rex. Just call me T-Rex. Everyone knows this creature. It's one of the most famous dinosaurs. T-Rex is smarter. It runs at Tyrannotitan and bites off an arm. That is a rough start to the fight. Tyrannotitan is shocked. As it decides what to do next, T-Rex charges full speed and bites a chunk out of its
Oh
neck.
my god.
The fight is over.
See, it's
T-Rex
slowly
wins.
going up.
Good enough. Good enough. Thank you. It probably would be more that it crushed its neck than bites a chunk out of it, but let's do it. This is it. Okay. It's going to take a heck of a lot of man-o-wars to take down a T-Rex. I'll tell you that right now. Okay. Styracosaurus versus Spinosaurus. For the record, just looking at this, Spinosaurus probably didn't look much like this at all.
I'm getting
We'll have a whole
6
video about
per
Spinosaurus a
time.
little later this
Because I
month.
got
You know, in case you're looking for a
3
reason to click that
times
little bell.
2.
Okay, so
Add
horns
6.
everywhere. It would hurt to bite this dinosaur's face. Styracosaurus was an herbivore. Its teeth were perfect for slicing and bunching plants. Behold Spinosaurus. It may have been the perfect fighting dinosaur.
So that's it. I'm just gonna go to dinner now.
It was fast,
So goodbye,
strong,
guys.
light,
This is a
long,
cool video.
had huge
Gotta
teeth
stop
on its
it.
jaw and could
Go
swim.
right now.
Many dinosaur fans are rooting for Spinosaurus to win the championship. Spinosaurus.
One of these colors and then run
Hello,
code
and
when that message is received.
And that's what happened. That's weird.
Which
I'm
allows
just
you
gonna
to sort of
continue coding
communicate
it.
between
Yes.
objects, right? So
Now
for
that we're
this
back,
endless
I'm
runner
gonna
game, what
continue
we're gonna
making
do
my
is start
game,
off
of course.
by implementing
Amazing carrot clicker. Before any of you leave, because I'm not doing much, I'm gonna show you the gameplay. Yeah, some nice gameplay. You should play it, don't you think? You should play it, shouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah. Play it. So I just get more carrots. See all this cool background I've done? So basically, yeah, that's basically the gameplay. So yeah, you can
The
continue
player
coding now.
controls, which is pretty simple. What you want to do is when the player is tapped in the movement, you want to make him hop. So now, when you click the player should hop. All right, there we go. Now we need to make our
Huh?
You get your jamming shorts on? 'Cause I know you're wearing your pants.
Man. Just a second, guys. My dad told me I should get my jammy pants on. I mean shorts. They have jammy pants on. Jammy pants. So it just looks into this guy.
dinosaur sprite. Scratch Jr. surprisingly has a pretty good image editor. I think. Now let's make a dinosaur. What does a dinosaur look like? Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And then you just want to fill the rest. There we go. This looks just like a dinosaur. It looks literally just like a
Still
dinosaur.
here, okay, guys.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's a little questionable, but come on, guys. This isn't that bad. Okay,
That looks
now
like a
our
bird.
dinosaur jumps. It's definitely a dinosaur. Okay, we have a jumping dinosaur, but there's nothing to jump over. So we need to make some hazards that move across the screen. Yeah, for now, as a placeholder, I will use this bat because I will bat you on the head if you don't subscribe. Okay, yeah, so when the game starts, the bat will move to the left, repeat it infinitely with this block. Now what we should do is replace this bat with some real art. Back to this beautiful drawing program. I need to get it perfectly lined up, or else my life is a failure. It's fine. This is good, and then I'll make it a bit wider. Here we go. This is definitely a cactus. Come on, guys. Honestly, I should be an artist. Look at that. This is a beautiful game. Okay. Let's make a floor. I think the best way to do a floor would be to make it a background. I'm not sure exactly how this works. Alright, honestly, this is pretty solid. For Scratch Jr., we have already made some pretty solid progress. Oh, wait, we don't kill... I just realized we don't kill the player. The most important feature of the game I forgot to implement, which is killing the player when you need to be killed. In our player sprite, on collision with anything, we reset the game. Right there, I think it reset, and you can't even tell sometimes. Genius idea. We make an overlay, and then we write. We have to write with, just my handwriting, because there's no text. Okay, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. That's not bad, guys, right? It's not that bad. So now, when you die, I want to make this show up. Can you hide a sprite? Please tell me you can do that. Yes, hide. Oh, yes, let's go. On death. So, on death is when you get the red message. You show. Oh my god, I'm so bad. Wait. Oh, this is broke. This is okay. This is a little broke. Whoa, chill. Now the game is like here, dude. We have the Chrome Dino game. Honestly, it's better than the original right now. I think now we have a very functional game. As you can tell, this game is a masterpiece. And we still have 18 minutes left. So I say we add some sound effects. So when you jump, you obviously want there to be a sound effect. All right. Let's make a dinosaur jumping sound. This will be beautiful. Whoop.
The Flex MBA program, it allowed you to
Oh,
design
no.
you were able to do by being a working adult. And it really helped you out and to eventually get into the C-suite. And that's what I think is so valuable about Carey Business School.
Botox Cosmetic, myth or fact? Let's face a challenge. How far can you get? Level 1. Botox Cosmetic clumps and adds volume to the face.
Level.
That is a myth.
Of sprite.
That's a myth.
Myth. Botox Cosmetic relaxes muscle.
Okay, just a second, I have to go pee.
Like she was having a
Oh,
fun time.
nuts, I'm so
Stop it!
sorry,
Stop
guys.
it! Maybe I wouldn't have been a good teacher. Before I tell
We
you about my
paused
poetry
for
teacher,
a
I need to tell
bit.
you about the preparatory school I went to so you
This
can
is
better
what I
understand where I'm
did,
coming
and,
from. So I went to a preparatory school in
I
ninth
did
grade,
on
and
these
first off,
two,
what is
yeah.
a preparatory school?
I am
Google says
so,
it's a private
so
school that
sorry.
prepares students for college. Now, hearing that definition, you might think, wait, don't all schools prepare students for college? Isn't that a school's job? And you might think that a preparatory school is more fancy and made out of marble and all the kids come from rich families. No. What it means is that the schools get little government funding and parents have to pay for desks and the teacher's salary. I know different private schools will vary depending on how rich the parents are. I'm sure that school made out of marble exists somewhere, but the preparatory school I went to was relatively worse than a normal public school. The school I went to didn't even have desks. They had fold-up tables and the chairs were fold up too. How did they... Oh. Well, now I know where all the budget went. The main difference between a public school and a prep school is that a prep school is smaller and there's a uniform and there's lockers. So why did my twin sister and I attend a preparatory school? Because twins have superpowers and we need to go to a special school to enhance our abilities. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That'd be cool though. We went because when we were starting our freshman year, our older brother was a senior and he was already attending this preparatory school. And my mom didn't want to have to drive to 2 high schools to pick us up. We already had a carpool in place. You can't just mess with the carpool. And me and my sister didn't know what to expect from a public high school. We've never been. We thought we'd get bullied or something. Boy, I feel like picking on someone today. Yeah, sure, we can go to a prep school. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the carpool we had made it so we would arrive at the school super early before everyone else, and we'd be picked up from the school super late. And also, because it was a prep school, they gave out a stupid amount of homework. I remember breaking up the homework into pieces, like, okay, I can do the geometry while I'm waiting for school to start, the biology homework I can do during geometry class, and I have choir after lunch, so I can just do this during lunch. Look at me being responsible. I have a little sister who just finished her freshman year in a public high school, and she thinks it was so hard. Oh, you thought your 9th grade was hard? Try doing twice the amount of homework and wear the same pants every day. So now the only question remaining is, why did my older brother go to a prep school in the first place? Bro, why did you go to a prep school in the first place? IDK just decided to. Just felt like I should. My mom reads my scripts, and she told me that he went to a prep school because one of his friends said that there were cute girls at the school, so he decided to stay there for 4 years. Okay, now let's talk about my poetry teacher. I'll call him Mr. Poe, because that's short for poetry. Poetry wasn't even an elective class. Every freshman was required to take it, and surprisingly, poetry was only the second most useless class you took at the school. The sophomores took a class on Latin, you know, that dead language that no one speaks. So Mr. Poe, I don't want to judge him too hard. I don't know how he was like outside of school, but just picking up the vibes I got from him as a 14-year-old, I think he was depressed. I mean, to be fair, anyone who likes poetry probably has something wrong in their head. But Mr. Poe just seemed sad all the time. Every single day he would start the class by saying, "It's the best day ever." Which, if you think about it, saying that every day only means that the days are going to get better and better, which is sort of poetic. But I think Mr. Poe was lying to himself. Also, Mr. Poe really liked anacondas. I mean, snakes. He really liked snakes. Sometimes he would go off on tangents talking about snakes. Royal pythons, also called American ball python, got their name because they turn into a ball when they get nervous. Also, did you know that snakes have 2... Never mind. Sometimes in class we'd be analyzing poetry, and Mr. Poe told us that every single word in a poem was important. The poet didn't have to use the word "the," but they did. What did they mean? Sometimes we would spend days analyzing a single poem, taking notes and talking about what we thought the poet meant. One time a poem we were reading had someone talking, so there were quotation marks at the start of the sentence, but there weren't quotation marks at the end. The poet forgot to put end quotes. I remember noticing it and thinking, aha! A clue! Mr. Poe, I just made a breaking discovery. There's no end quotes here, meaning that the whole rest of this poem is told by this character. And Mr. Poe said, oh no, that's just a typo. Well, frickin', why am I perfectly nitpicking this piece when the poet purposely put poor punctuation in his poems? Pterodactyl! This is gonna sound off topic, but do you guys know what lateral thinking puzzles are? Lateral thinking puzzles are sort of like riddles, but more stupid. You're given a strange situation with little information, and you have to ask the person who told you the puzzle yes or no questions to get the answer. My favorite lateral thinking puzzle is this because it's so stupid. A man goes into a restaurant, orders albatross, eats 1 bite, and then jumps off a bridge. Why? Now, normally, if we were playing legitly, you would ask me yes or no questions like, Was the man in a relationship? And I would answer them saying, well, not anymore. The explanation is this. I'm not going to read it out because it's super long and complicated, but you can read it if you want. Well, Mr. Poe also liked to tell these lateral thinking puzzles, but
Yeah,
his
someone
solutions were
else can
more
read that.
dumber. One of the puzzles he told the
Yeah.
class was, you're trapped in a restaurant, how do you get out? Now, I can think of like 5 solutions right off the top of my head. Okay, through the door, through a window, use a crowbar if it's locked. There's probably a sharp knife to cut through a wall, or you can dig a hole under everything with a spoon. But it was actually none of those answers. So, how do you get out of a restaurant you're trapped in? You get an education. Okay, let me explain. You're trapped in a restaurant because you're a waiter. That's your job. And to get out of the restaurant, you need to get a good education so you can get a better job. Kind of like how I was able to quit my job in the food industry by getting an education. It's funny because he dropped out of college. So the class got the answer to that riddle, but Mr. Poe told us another riddle and we never figured that one out. And that riddle is, anyone can dig a ditch, but it takes a real man to blank. Given that the answer to the first riddle was education, the answer to this could be anything. I really wanted to know the answer to this riddle, so I googled it hoping that Mr. Poe just stole it from the internet, and I found this song, anyone can dig a hole close enough to a ditch, but it takes a real man to call it home. Which sounds poetic enough. Let's see if the song gives us any more clues. Mr. Poe, I didn't know you were into this sort of stuff. So I wish I could give you the answer, but
Yeah,
I
Mr. Poe,
don't
what the
have
heck?
one. Feel free to guess what you think the answer is and give your reasoning in the comments. That'll be fun to
Also,
read.
did I
But I
do a
will
good
say
job
the
with the
answer that I
carrot,
did
guys?
come up with that I think makes the
I
most
hope
sense.
I
Anyone
hope
can
I
dig a
did.
ditch, but it
Something.
takes a real man to hide the body.
We all
What?
do it. You see a line and wonder, should I join it? Even crazier is that folks stick with insurance that keeps them waiting around to file a claim, while Geico's claim support is available day or night. What are you waiting for?
No one knows.
It feels good to step out of line. It feels good to Geico.
It feels good to Geico.
Now, you might think that since I'm making a part 2 of this, I must get recognized
Sir,
a
are you
whole lot,
Geicoing?
like I'm some sort of celebrity or something. No. What actually happens is that I'm awkward, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but chances are you're awkward too. So when I do get recognized, we're both being awkward, together. And that stuff makes for great videos. Once you get to my level of YouTube fame, whenever I go out in public, I always have the thought in the back of my mind, I wonder if any of these people have seen me pour sprinkles over my shirtless body. I especially get worried when I see my target demographic in public. Little boys. This might be paranoia or anxiety, but I swear sometimes little boys will stare at me for an uncomfortable amount of time. And I'm just trying my best not to make eye contact. You know, I don't really have any defining physical characteristics that make me stand out. As of right now, little boys have to look at me and think, is that tall, white, dirty, blonde-haired, early 20-year-old beta male that one YouTuber I like, or am I just imagining things? It's funny I call myself the odd ones out when I'm part of, like, no minorities. I mean, I might get nervous around little boys, but when I do get recognized, it's the highlight of my day. So I don't know what I'm worried about. I should just wear a shirt that says, hey, I'm the odd ones out. So one time I went to Walmart and I was buying a bunch of whoopee cushions for my April Fool's video. And as I was walking down the aisle, I saw this little boy at the other end walking towards me and his face just lit up. And I thought, oh, this kid knows. This is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Are you James? Who? And then I walked off. I'm just kidding. I mean, I did say who, but I didn't walk away. I was just messing with the kid. It was probably really weird for that kid to see a YouTuber in Walmart buying nothing but whoopee cushions. So that was fun. This other time, I was buying supplies for my 3 million sprinkle video, and I ended up going to 3 different stores. Hey, do you guys have an inflatable pool? Yeah, what size do you need? Enough to fit 3 million sprinkles. What are you using it for? I need it for a thing. So after I finished my important business errands, I felt a little hungry, so I decided to buy some pre-made food. I work hard, dang it, I deserve it. And I decided to go eat at Zupa's. Zupa's is a pretty good restaurant. They have sandwiches and soup, and they give you a chocolate-covered strawberry with every order. I'm telling you this because I want them to sponsor me. I went up to the counter, and there was this employee that said, hey man, what's up? And this is going to be a bit of a tangent, but I just want to say that I absolutely love that kind of employee. It's so much better than those fake fast food employees. Do you know the ones I'm talking about? Like every time I pull up into a Chick-fil-A drive-thru, there'll be an employee that will say, it's always a great day at Chick-fil-A. My name's Mackenzie. How may I serve you? And I just want to say, Mackenzie. I came here yesterday and Brian said the exact same thing. I know your manager told you to say that. Look, Neither of us want to be here, okay? No one says it's a great day at Chick-fil-A, okay? That's so dumb. So stop lying to me and give me the usual. Like, I would much rather have a fast food employee just say, what do you want? Okay, maybe not that rude, but you get the point. So now there's a random guy who works at Zupa's who doesn't even know I put him in a YouTube video, but I like his work ethic. Treat me like a person and not like a customer. Anyway, tangent over, I ordered some soup and a sandwich. Cool. I go up to the cash register. My soup is ready, but my sandwich wasn't. The girl said, did you get anything else or just soup? I said, no, I got a sandwich too. I paid for the food, but the sandwich still wasn't ready. I checked my phone, looked at Twitter. By now, the sandwich was done. The girl took the sandwich and the soup and a chocolate-covered strawberry and put it in a plastic box doggy bag thing. I was super hungry. I thought the transaction was done, so I grabbed the box and started sliding it towards me. Then she took out a plastic bag and said, oh, do you want it in a bag? And I thought, yeah, I do. So I slid the food back over, and as this girl was putting the food in the bag, she yelled, James! And I was not ready for that. Oh, hey, I mean, who? She said, did you come here because of my email?
I hope this works. But yeah, forgot to say. It has been saved. Come on. Let me skip that. Oh my god.
Did you come here because of my email? You sent an email? So that was pretty... I almost lost $1,000 scholarship. An email? So that was pretty fun. All the other employees were like, wait, this guy's important? There's a high chance that this woman is watching this video right now, and I looked up her email, and her name is Scarlett. Isn't that a nice name? So Scarlett, if you're watching... Can you tell your coworker I like his work ethic? Also, can you hook me up with free Zupas? I never really understood how people could get nervous talking to me. I'm just some 21-year-old who likes M&Ms and drawing cartoons for the internet. I've always thought of myself as a pretty normal guy. At least I never understood that sort of nervousness until I met Carl Sagan 42. I recently got into this game called Mario Maker, which is a game where you can make your own Mario levels and share them with the world via the internet. I wanted to find some Mario Maker Let's Players that were 1, good at the game, and 2, weren't screaming every 10 seconds, which is actually a lot harder to find than you might think. But I went searching and I found these 3 Let's Players who mostly play Mario Maker, and they're alright at the game. I mean, they're only a little better than me. If one of my videos gets delayed, you could probably thank these 3 because I'm watching their videos instead of working. Also, this is gonna sound weird, but every morning after I wake up at 12, I pour myself a bowl of cereal and I watch one of their videos. So I start my day off with my Mario Maker boys. Anyway, one of the Let's Players, Carl Sagan 42, was going to Phoenix Comic-Con, which was great because I was also going to Phoenix Comic-Con. I didn't have a panel or anything, I just went with Jaden and her friends and we just walked around. Comic-Con was a lot of fun. I met up with a lot of people. I even got recognized at Subway. One of the workers knew me. There was this room where you could play video games, and I went up to this one kid playing Super Smash Brothers, and I said, all right, dude, let's do this. And he said, I feel like I know you from somewhere. Okay. And then I totally wiped the floor with him with Kirby, and he was like 12 years old. So I had a fun time at the con, but I also wanted to meet Carl. Now, Carl wasn't going to the con because of his Mario Maker skills, but rather he was going because he's actually a scientist who studies vaccines and plants, and he was going to talk about that. So on Friday, after doing some stalking on Twitter, I found out that he had a panel at 9 p.m. Yes! Leading up to the panel, I realized that I was getting my information off a tweet and not from the official Comic-Con handbook, so I didn't even know if I was going to the correct panel. When 9 p.m. rolled around, I walked into the room Carl said he was having his panel. I saw a group of 5 people sitting on a stage, but I didn't see Carl. Guess he's not here. Oh wait, he is here! He's just the only person in cosplay! That's the guy I like! The one in the wig! As I listened to his panel, I kept telling myself that Carl was just a normal person like me. He plays Mario, I make cartoons, I shouldn't be nervous to talk to him. Why am I like this? The panel was great, everyone enjoyed it except for this one woman who I think was anti-vaccine. Once it was done, the panelists stayed around for a couple of minutes and I went up to Carl and I said, hey, I really like your Mario Maker streams. And since he talked about vaccines, I showed him this comic I made back in 2014, which I will read now. Hey folks, are you tired of hearing this? Can you believe all the horrible things doctors put in vaccines? There's no way I'm vaccinating my child. We'll suffer no longer with the anti-vaccine. The anti-vaccine will stop anyone from thinking vaccines are harmful or cause autism. And then he injects the anti-vaccine into the person, and then he flops over. Is he okay? No, he's dead. Vaccinate your relatives today. It's dark, yes, but Carl liked it, and he even said that AAV is a name of a virus, so vaccine is actually a virus. Well, actually, vaccines are viruses. So the anti-vaccine lady was behind me, and I think she wanted to talk to Carl, so I said, okay, I love you, bye, and I left Carl to deal with her. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't say, oh, also, Carl, by the way, I have 3 million subscribers on YouTube. Well, because I think that's rude. And I didn't want to flex too hard. I mean, if he did ask about my sub count, I totally would have told him, but I don't know, I just didn't want to brag. I tell you this story because I understand that people might get anxiety talking to someone they look up to. And just because I have more subs than someone doesn't mean I won't get nervous talking to them. Senpais can have senpais too. I wonder who Carl's senpai is. Then 2 days later, I tweeted out to him and he followed me back and we're BFFs now. Now guys, don't embarrass me in front of Carl, okay? Don't just go to his channel and comment, who's here because of the odd ones out? Because no one cares, all right? If you have to comment, wow, great video, Carl. You're an awesome person when it comes to Mario. You just jumped right into my heart. And also, you can check out the other two that I mentioned. They're pretty cool. So, in conclusion, is it cool to be recognized? Yeah. Will I ever get tired of it? Who knows?
Because sometimes we feel bad. Even when it's for their own good. Give more love than humanly possible.
I don't
When you feed Hill's scientifically proven formula. Because you're only human. There's Hills.
What would you like to taste today?
Every coffee, a new world. Like our full range of single origin coffees straight from the source. Pressed to explore.
If you're one of those kids that spends too much time on that darn computer machine, then conventions are a great place to get the recommended amount of human interaction with others who share a similar interest. Or at least, they were. You might have seen some conventions in the news recently, you know the ones like VidCon, Comic-Con, and E3. But did you know there's conventions for all sorts of different things, like coin collecting, pens, and degenerates? The first convention I ever went to was in Arizona called Phoenix Comic-Con. I was 16 years old, and it, no exaggeration, changed my life. I had heard a lot about geek culture online, but Phoenix Comic-Con was the very first time I witnessed it in its fullest. I was a very sheltered kid. It was the first time I'd seen a brony and a furry and whatever this is in the wild. That changes a person. I was told that it was not cool to like geeky things, and as a 16-year-old, I tried really hard to make it seem like I didn't secretly like a bunch of geeky things. But people at Comic-Con just embrace nerd culture like they didn't care what people thought of them or something. Is that allowed? I guess when I was 16, I was hyper desperate to receive everyone's approval. I was so hyper desperate that while walking around my first convention, I was stressing out that I wasn't in cosplay. Oh, all these pop culture characters are judging me because I'm not wearing any makeup. To this day, I still haven't ever cosplayed, but it looks like a lot of fun. If I did cosplay, I would want to go as this quadrupedic horse. Also Spark from Pokemon Go. I went to one panel called How to Make Steampunk Weapons, but instead of teaching us how to weld real-life weapons powered by steam, the people on the panel taught us how to paint Nerf guns to make them look like they were powered by steam. And that was, no exaggeration, the most disappointing panel I've ever been to. There was also a panel for bronies, but I was too chicken to go. Did I mention that my grandfather, who I'm named after, got drafted into World War II when he was 18? He fought in a war so I could go to a comic convention and be too nervous to talk to bronies. What a different life we had. At most conventions, people in the expo hall will sell a lot of super cool, unlicensed merchandise. Yeah, a lot of artists will sell prints and plushies and oven mitts with characters and titles they probably didn't get the license to sell, but if it's at a convention or on Etsy, then for some reason it's okay. I've always felt weird about buying that type of merch. On one hand, you shouldn't be allowed to make money off of someone else's intellectual property without the owner's consent. But on the other hand, look at this cool Bowser wallet, Bowser print, and Bowser bandana that I own. And this body pillow. It's a moral gray area because the people buying this type of merch are the hardcore fans. They know of the property these characters came from, they probably already own licensed merch of the character, the artist isn't claiming to have created the character either, it's a mutual understanding between buyer and seller that we both think Bowser is cool and we just want to buy as much merch as possible. You kinda have to take it on a case-by-case basis, but let me just say this to get it out there, you're not allowed to sell bootlegged Odd Ones Out merch. Phoenix Comic-Con actually had to change the name of their convention to Phoenix Fan Fusion because the people at the San Diego Comic-Con didn't like that Phoenix was stealing their name, so these conventions that don't care about stealing other people's copyright are forcing others to respect their copyright. Interesting. As some of you may know, since 2012, I have become a little more successful, and in 2019, I got invited to be a guest at Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is my home convention. The really crazy part is the convention put me in the celebrity line, like next to the people where you have to pay for photos and autographs. I didn't charge my fans for anything, so that made my line appear a lot longer than others. And my line was, no exaggeration, right next to Jeff Goldblum's line. I was gonna make eye contact with Jeff Goldblum! Jeff showed up for a couple hours on Saturday, and when he came out from backstage, everyone in his line and my line started wooing and clapping, and even I was like, woo! And then Jeff took a look at my line, then looked at me, and then gave me a nod of approval, saying, not bad, kid. He didn't say it out loud, but I could tell he said it with his eyes. He also said that I looked kind of cute, so ooh, thanks, Jeff. The first time I went to VidCon, that also, no exaggeration, changed
Is he
my
in
life.
love with Jeff
Again,
Goldblum?
it was the first time I met all these YouTubers that I've been watching for years, and okay, I'll admit, at first I was kind of fanboy-y, but I've gotten completely desensitized meeting
this
other
is
YouTubers
like
and feel no joy anymore. When I
Dangle
meet another
that's
YouTuber, I
added to
say,
it?
oh, you make videos in your bedroom? Me too. People know that you're a bedwetter too, right? No? That's just me then. If you've ever given me something at a convention, then you'll be happy to know that I've kept everything I've ever been given. Unless you're the guy that gave me a plastic baggie full of water and other junk and called it a homemade snow globe. I used to collect snow globes, so it was a nice sentiment, but I didn't want to take it home with me and have it inevitably break and get all the important fan art wet. So I chucked it. And as I'm telling you this, there's some poor kid out there going, hey, he's talking about my snow globe. He threw it away? And now I feel bad, so...
Here, I'll mail this to you and you can get a taste of your own medicine.
I don't know why this is such a popular question, but a lot of times people will ask me, what's the weirdest fan interaction you've ever had? I think they think that some of you are cringy. I never have an answer for them because all my fans are super nice. Yeah, someone gave me a bag of water, but that's not weird, that's nice! Okay, I have received fan mail from a prison, which is true, so I guess some of you aren't law-abiding citizens. Going to conventions and meeting fans and being on panels is a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't give you a lot of time to really experience the convention. Since 2017, when I would go to a convention, it would mean I was working. I still had a fun time, but I didn't really get to just relax with friends. That is, until I went to a convention last December called MFF, which stands for Midwest Fur Fest. Now, James, did you go to a furry convention? Well, I went with some friends to a furry convention so that I could actually enjoy a convention and not have to work. Although I still got recognized even though I was wearing a disguise. Furries are very touchy people, I've learned. Not touchy as in overly sensitive. Well, some probably are, but they're also literally touchy. Let me tell you where I'm at in my life right now. Last December, I was in an elevator full of furries, and if my grandpa could see me now, he would probably be frowning. Or smiling, I don't know, I don't judge. We were all crowded in, there was a moose breathing down my neck, and we stopped at a floor because more furries wanted to come in, so I backed up to make more room, but I backed up a little too close to the moose, and he grabbed my hips, and I went, ah! In my mind, I didn't say it out loud. In real life, I went, so that was probably the weirdest fan experience I've had, if you were still wondering. I don't know if he was a fan of my YouTube, but he was definitely a fan of my body. Or he was drunk. I don't know. Again, I don't judge. I was debating on whether or not I should include this story, but I think it would be a good lesson for everyone to hear. Here's my James PSA. This message is for everyone, and especially furries. Don't touch people without their permission. In the moment, I stayed quiet, but that sort of behavior isn't okay and I should have spoken out. Hopefully, most of you are mindful of other people's personal space. However, at least one of you went to prison, so I don't know. Overall, it was the best ironic trip ever. At the end of the day, conventions are a lot of fun, and I really, really miss going to them. And when it's safe to do so again, I recommend you try and go to one you're interested in. And Grandpa, I'm sorry if I disappointed you.
This is the 2026 Nissan Rogue.
Fixed.
It's the most powerful Rogue ever. Nissan, #1 in new vehicle quality.
There is a lot about the job that isn't actually that fun that I have now.
You might be thinking that me giving you advice on pitching a show is insincere or not applicable because of that. But listen, there was still a whole lot of work that went into my pitch for a TV show, and even with all my subscribers, statistically, I still got turned down way more times than I got picked up. If Netflix is just green-lighting everyone with a big sub count, then why doesn't I Did a Thing have a show, huh? Why doesn't Mr. Beast have a Netflix show? Oh, actually, he's doing just fine. By the way, if you are someone with a lot of subscribers, don't just walk into a studio and say, hey, I have a lot of subs, give me a show, okay? Walk in and say, hey, I have a lot of subs and free merchandise for you, okay? Diversification is key. Networks like Netflix, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon, they're in the biz of making content for their platform and in turn getting you, the viewer, to watch said content on said platform, thus generating a perpetual money-making cycle that everyone, including you, benefits from. Now, the executives in charge don't have all the time to come up with every single show they're going to make, so they turn to the general public, open their doors, and will listen to anyone pitch them their idea for a television series. But even if you have an Emmy-winning idea, if you're not able to properly sell your idea and win over the hearts of the network executives, it's not going to get picked up and developed. Then your only option is to independently fund and develop your idea yourself. But what kind of a loser would do that? And thus the art of pitching a show is born. You could honestly teach a whole class about this. Now, obviously, you can't just walk into a studio empty-handed. All right, big idea. What if we do a show where there's a talking alligator, right? And he's like, yo, what? I'm a crocodile. You gotta come prepared, but also not be over-prepared. I was actually surprised to learn this, but going into the pitch room with finished scripts, turnarounds of your characters, and plushies will actually hurt your chances of getting picked up. The reason for this is because executives will sometimes like to change parts of your show, and if you already have all the characters and story mapped out, they'll not want to pick you up because they feel like they can't change anything. You're not even supposed to write any scripts until after you get the green light, because the executives have to approve all the scripts you make and the writers that you want to hire. So if you ever pitch a show, just be open for changes, which I can attest is a very different experience to what it's like on YouTube. What you do want to bring to the pitch is this super important document called a show Bible, and then you need to convert to that show's religion. The show Bible is a document that contains everything your audience needs to know about your show. In the beginning of a show Bible, there should be a 1 to 2 sentence description that covers the main synopsis of your show. It's kind of like an elevator pitch, but here in the biz, we call it a log line. I'll give you mine as an example.
The gift of a Lego set clicks. And clicks.
This is so
and
cool,
clicks.
isn't it? Yeah, this
Lego
is.
sets. The gifts that always click.
What if I
I'm
told you
going to
HPV
do
vaccination was for men too?
I didn't know. I'm too old.
If you're under 45, you're not.
Montage, I guess. 3, 2, 1, go. That's better. Now just. Oh, not so, yeah. looks horrible. That's pretty nice. That's nice. looks a lot better. Sorry guys, but I'm like really tired, okay? I gotta stop. Okay, so goodbye and have an amazing day. I'm gonna play some Snake before you go. I made Snake before. I'm probably gonna update it. And I also need like some experience in the truding. You know? Man! I swiped up, I'm telling you, I swiped up, I told you. This. No! Your dumb eyes, you little snake. No! 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 I waited too long. I can't even do that, okay? almost had it. I almost had it. I kiss you on. Kiss. Eat you too. I'm weird. So goodbye and have a good day.